Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. And the Chennai Super Kings have beaten the Gujarat Titans by 15 runs in qualifier 1, booking their place in the final in a few days' time. In my previous video, I'd suggested an 11 for each team, and regarding their adherence to those 11s, starting off with the Gujarat Titans, I expected the 4 overseas players that featured today to feature even from my preview. I thought they could start with 3 and maybe sub in Dasun Shanaka if need be. And in today's game, they used Vijay Shankar as an impact sub and started off with Dasun Shanaka. But I expected those 4 players alongside, so effectively Shanaka and Miller, Noor Ahmed and Rashid Khan to be involved. And a non-inclusion that I didn't quite understand, but I wasn't too surprised with, considering they haven't played him for a single game this season thus far, and that is Sai Kishore. If you're not going to play him in this situation, and I'll get onto this in a bit, but if you're not going to play him in this situation, then I don't know when you will play him. And a surprising inclusion in Darshan Nalkande. I don't think anyone expected this. Was this already, did it seem like it was a tactical inclusion? I don't really know. I mean, it seemed quite out of the box, and I will get onto the intricacies of the game and how he fared very shortly, but I just didn't really understand that from a tactical point of view at all when you've got other bowlers there who you have tried out more this season. And regarding the CSK 11, predictably the same as how they've gone with in recent games, with Matisha Patirana being the impact sub in the second innings. I'd suggested that they go with Rahane opening and played Mitchell Santner instead of Devon Conway and batted him at number 8. And I will talk about that as well, but I think that even though I suggested it, I didn't expect them to really go through with it. So the Gujarat Titans won the toss and chose to field first. And even though they've got a good record chasing, I just think with them looking to play to their overall, well, in terms of their record, if they're a side that does like to chase, even if they'd be playing to their strengths, I thought in today's game you'd be playing into the hands of CSK as well. If CSK got to that 170 odd score, which they did, then it'd be difficult for pretty much any team, especially on this kind of a surface, to get over the line, and we saw that today. The Gujarat Titans were second best by quite some distance, and that's why I thought maybe batting first would have been the better option even from the start, and I thought that the decision at the toss did play into CSK's hands, even if the Gujarat Titans had a good record chasing thus far. The CSK openers walked out to bat, and considering the fact that there was some movement early on for the seamers, I thought 49 without loss after the power play was a very good power play score, especially considering the conditions. And all in all, a partnership that lasted until the midpoint of the 11th over, putting on 87 runs for the first wicket, with Rutraj Gaikwad being the aggressor with his 60. And not only in this game, but I've mentioned quite a few times that in the first game this season, where these two sides faced off, had Ozari Joseph bowled the second over instead of Hardik Pandya in that first game, then I think he would have had a greater chance of dismissing Rutraj Gaikwad in that game. And had Rutraj Gaikwad been dismissed, then CSK may have been bowled out for 130. Once again in this innings, they relied on the foundation set by the openers, Rutraj Gaikwad getting the 60 that he got to get them to 87 without loss before the first wicket fell. Had that not happened, then maybe the score would have been quite a bit less than what it was. And what I'm trying to say here is that you saw the reprieve as to who bowled the first over in the first game. And in this game, I didn't really get the inclusion of Darshan Nalkande, like I said in the earlier parts of this video. I thought, did he really strike me as someone who was going to be a great tactical call in the game? No, he didn't. I mean, I thought that especially someone who hasn't played at all this season, I think playing a knockout game, I wouldn't mind it if there was a suitable or a feasible matchup that you could kind of observe on paper, but there didn't seem to be one. And it almost worked with him dismissing Rutraj Gaikwad in the second over of the game before the no ball was scored. Had Gaikwad been dismissed in that over, then you would think CSK may not have got to 170 that they got to. And After 87 without loss, they were 85 without loss after 10 overs, and I think they then went to 172 for 7 and 20, losing 7 wickets in the last 10, scoring 87 runs. You could say overall 172 was in the end it was a good score, and I thought they even should have won the first game in Ahmedabad, like I've said before. But in both cases, Rutraj Gaikwad was the key player in helping them get to that kind of a score. So I thought if he was dismissed in this over, if that ball was a legal delivery, this would have been a tougher game for CSK. But in the end, it kind of worked out in CSK's favour. And another thing I thought that played out in Chennai's advantage was that the spinners Rashid Khan and Noor Ahmed bowled the 5th and 6th over respectively. I thought they'd be brought on after the power play, meaning that CSK got through 2 overs of you think players that would be a threat on this kind of a surface, and not losing a wicket as well. 49 without loss after 6 overs, and you think we have to face 2 overs less of 2 of the main threats in the middle over. So I didn't get the why Hardik Pandya bowled those 2 in the power play. I would have brought them on after the power play was over. And after the opening partnership, a bit of a precarious phase for CSK. I thought the wicket of Shivam Dube was a crucial one. I thought he would be key in attacking the spinners, and he was bowled for one of the bowling of Noor Ahmed. And I'll say this again. I mean, the thing that I was saying about Devon Conway, despite the fact that a lot of the times he's been very good this season, above 600 runs this season, but you'll see a stark contrast in impactful runs between him batting on more batting-friendly tracks and him batting on more turning tracks. And you've seen the 2 games against the Rajasthan Royals, the game here as well, he did struggle in this game. He isn't a kind of player that can go at a higher strike rate on these kind of tracks, and that's why Ajinkya Rahane opening the batting would have been the better option. And not only did Rahane not open, but he batted at 4 for some reason after Shivam Dube was dismissed, which I didn't get at all. So CSK also tactically with the batting lineup, things maybe it could have not worked out. When I say not worked out, of course with how the matchups were stacked in CSK's favour, it would have been very difficult for CSK to lose this game. They would have had to play terribly to lose this game. But I still thought not making the right selections at times, even though it has worked for them before on different types of surfaces. And I've mentioned the structure of the batting lineup a lot, especially after the 2 losses against the Rajasthan Royals. And that could have maybe not worked in their favour as well. But I thought with the scrambling from a few players, the cameos from Rahane, Ambati Raidu and Ravindra Jadeja meant that they could claw their way to 172 for 7. And once they got there, you kind of thought it would be quite difficult for the Gujarat Titans to get over the line. And regarding the bowling figures, Mohammad Shami started off with 1 for 14 in his 3, and in the end gave 14 runs in the last over to get 2 for 28 in his 4. Mohit Sharma 2 for 31 in his 4, and I thought getting 37 runs off 4 overs of Rashid Khan was quite a good thing for CSK in this game, especially considering the kind of track. And Darshan Nalkande 1 for 44 in his 4, got the wicket of Ajinkya Rahane. But I'll say this again, I didn't think there would be an outright tactical advantage of playing Darshan Nalkande in this game, and really there wasn't. Yes, he could have got the wicket of Raj Gaikwad if the ball was legal. He would have got the wicket, but I still didn't think there was any tactical advantage of playing him. And I'll say this again, if you're not even going to play Sai Kishore in this game, you may as well release him. I don't understand, after him gaining their trust in the couple of games that he played in the previous season, if he's even started in the final for you in the previous season and he doesn't play a single game in the next season, I just don't get it. He always has been growing as a cricketer, his stock always has been rising, and that's why it just doesn't make sense not to play him, especially in this kind of situation. So if you're not going to play him in games like this, you may as well release him. That's on that. And on the second innings, not too much to say really. I thought after a couple of good overs from the CSK opening bowlers up front, The Titans openers got to move on relatively in the third and fourth overs to make their side 32 for 1 after the end of 4, with Vilman Saha being dismissed in the fourth over. That was the only point that they were somewhat getting going in the chase. Apart from that, I'd said in the previous video that regarding Hardik Pandya, I thought he shouldn't bat ahead of number 4 in T20s as of now, and in this game, I don't know why he worked out at 3, considering the reasoning I gave in my previous video. I didn't expect him to do too much with the bat this game anyway, but he worked out at 3 and it didn't work out. And I didn't mind Dasun Shanaka batting at 4, even though he finished his innings for Sri Lanka. It's been argued that he should bat higher up, considering he's usually rescuing his team from a collapse. And with how good he plays pace and spin, especially in the subcontinent, I didn't mind him batting at number 4 in this game, but that also didn't work out. David Miller has improved his spin playing in the last while, but playing against the spinners CSK have on this surface is still a challenge, and he was dismissed by Ravindra Jadeja in this game as well. And the one player who I thought would he have a major effect in this game, maybe not as much, but I thought if Vijay Shankar batted at number 3 with the form he's in, he scored 14 off 10 today batting at number 6, maybe things could have been slightly more manageable for the Gujarat Titans in this chase. And instead of doing that, they batted him at number 6 and batted Hardik Pandya at number 3, which I didn't get at all. And you've got the plays in the side and you think, who's going to be a key factor in helping me chase down 173 against the CSK attack in Chennai? Wriddhiman Saha, if he got off to a good start in the power play, but I didn't think he'd finish the job. And if Shubman Gill maybe got off to a good start in the power play as well, didn't slow down as much in the middle phase, hit a few boundaries towards the end, but still didn't finish the job like we saw in the first game where he scored 63 of 36. But I think you've got those two where I think they would set the game up, but they wouldn't be the players to get the team over the line. Hardik Pandya, I didn't expect too much from him with the bat in this game. And Dasun Shanaka, theoretically, yes, you could think that he could do something, but in the last 3 games, especially, but didn't get too much of an opportunity in the first game. But especially in this game, he had that opportunity, but it didn't work out for him today. And you've got the one player, like I've said, who maybe could have done something more if he had worked out a bat earlier in Vijay Shankar, and they batted him at number 6. I didn't get that. Rahul Tewatia, like I've said before, against spinners and against pacers is a completely different story. Against pacers, you've seen the things that he's done that have written him into folklore in certain occasions. For example, in that innings against the then Kings 11 Punjab in Sharjah. And against spinners is a completely different story. And you saw once again with the dismissal of the bowling of Mahesh Deekshana that he does struggle against spin. And I didn't expect him to have too much of an impact in this game. And Rashid Khan hit some good boundaries against the Pacers. But by then, you kind of thought, especially after Vijay Shankar was dismissed of the bowling of Matisha Patirana, the game was pretty much done. So that was on that. And CSK deserved to win this game. And once again today, Moeen Ali didn't bowl a single ball like he didn't do in the first game, and I thought with how well CSK could manage this chase, it wasn't really necessary for him to bowl overall. Will this be the case on the final on the 28th when I think they will also face GT in the final? Maybe not, we'll have to see, but I thought that CSK, because of how well the bowlers managed, they didn't have to bowl Moeen Ali in this game, so that is on that. So on the Gujarat Titans, I do think that even though they've lost today's game, I think they will be playing against CSK in the final on the 28th. They'll beat, I think, LSG in the second eliminator game. And for CSK, now they'll go straight to the final. And I think they should take the learnings from their first game of this IPL season, where because they didn't get their tactics right in the second innings, they unfortunately didn't win a game that they should have won, really. And I think if that kind of situation materializes, then CSK could go in with much more of a clarity on the second occasion than they did on the first time around. So that is on that. On tomorrow's game, I'd like to end this video by suggesting my 11s for LSG and MI. So starting off with LSG, they could go one of two ways. If they want to play Naveen ul-Haq, they could open with Quinton de Kock and Ayush Balloni. I know they opened with Karan Sharma in the previous game and they've only given him one game thus far, But with the promise that Ayush Badoni has shown, no disrespect to Karan Sharma, I feel they should be prioritizing him when there are spots available. And I'd say rather than batting him at number 6 or so, he should be opening alongside Quinton de Kock for this game if they choose to play Amin al-Haq. Perak Mankar at number 3, Nicholas Puran at number 4, and he should be batting at that 3 or 4 slot. Marcus Stoinis at 5 and Deepak Hooda at 6. Now, I don't know the preferred batting slot of Karan Sharma, so looking at this LSG roster, you aren't really spoiled for choice by any means looking at the batting options, especially Indian batting options at number 6, apart from Ayush Badoni, and Deepak Hooda has batted 5 or 6 for India recently. So I still think, okay, he hasn't been great thus far in this year's IPL, but for India players, even if they are doing well or not doing well, and especially with the case you've got where you're not spoiled for choice, I don't think you've got any other option. And I would start him at 6 on this occasion. And Krunal Pandya at number 7, Ravi Bishnoi at 8, Amit Mishra at 9, Amin al-Haq at 10, and Mohsin Khan at 11. You could maybe use someone like a Yash Thakur as an impact sub, which they did do in the previous game. The reason why I'm starting Amit Mishra is because I think they shouldn't fall into the trap of, if you want to get some quick runs in a 2 or 3 deliveries, they sub in Krishnappa Gautam, thinking of the short term rather than thinking of the imminent long term. So I've never understood it when they've done that, because the trio of Ravi Bishnoi, Krunal Pandya and Amit Mishra would be a very difficult trio to face for an opposition batting side, especially on a tying track. And they've thrown away that advantage by bringing in Krishnappa Gautam, who's at times not done too badly with the ball, but I just think Amit Mishra would be a more potent option. So that's why, since he can bat a bit as well, I've still kept him in this 11. They brought in Yash Thakur ahead of Amit Mishra in the game against MI, which I didn't understand. If they want to do that, they could still bring Yash Thakur in with Amit Mishra being in the side. So that is this team. If they want to play Kyle Mayes, you could play someone like Yash Thakur in the starting 11 ahead of Naveen al-Haq, and play Kyle Mayes ahead of Deepak Hooda with Ayush Badoni, unfortunately at 6, but there wouldn't really be any other slot for him. So that is on that. And yeah, I think, I hope LSG play Mishra in the bowling innings, and I think pretty much start him. That would be a safer option. He can bat as well. If they don't play him, it reduces the potency of the attack. I think Mishra, along with the other 2 spinners, is a player that can put pressure on opposition batting lineups. And with the Mumbai Indians, I've got a case where it's effectively the same 11, so 1-11, but you could maybe play one player instead of another and still involve those players, but play one of them as an impact sub. So I've got Rohit Sharma and Ishan Kishan opening the batting, with Nehal Vadera playing at 3, Suryakumar Yadav at number 4, Cameron Green 5, Tim David 6, and I've got an asterisk next to Arjun Tendulkar's name at number 7. I mean, I'm not sure who'd bat at number 7 in the batting innings, maybe number 8 with an impact sub batting at number 7. Or maybe just playing around with the lineup. But I think that he hasn't played a game in a while in this tournament, and looking at the seamers MI have got, you don't really think it makes too much sense to bolster their lineup with an extra overseas seamer. Duan Jansen's played one game, gone for 50 odd. Chris Jordan's given runs whenever he's bowled in this competition. And out of the Australian exports, I actually think Riley Meredith could be a decent option if he applied himself well, but he hasn't been doing that. He's got the skills, but he doesn't apply himself. So you got those 3. Would they be helping you much at this point in time? Out of push, Riley Meredith, maybe if he applies himself, with the other 2, I don't think so. So in terms of their 3 seamers, they could play Jason Behrendorff, Akash Madwal, and if they put faith in Arjun Tendulkar, okay, he went for runs against the Punjab Kings, for example, but he showed some good signs earlier on before that. And even then, if you're looking for a bowler not to go for 50 runs, Chris Jordan goes for 50, Duan Jansen goes for 50, Riley Meredith, because he doesn't apply himself, goes for 50. You're running out of options already, so you may as well put someone that's a bowling all-rounder and can bat as well. So that is on that. And you've got Kumar Kartikeya and Piyush Chawla as the two spinners, and so it's a good spin contingent there, with Cameron Green also eligible to give a few overs of seam. Something else they could do is, I've said that they could maybe put George Brevis as an impact sub in the batting innings, but what they could do is maybe start off with Brevis even in the bowling innings, since he does bowl some wrist spin, giving an extra spin bowling option, and including Nehal Wadera as an impact sub with the bat. So I think with MI, there is no point trying to strengthen their seam bowling with an overseas seamer. They've just got to make do with what they have. And I think they may even be looking to chase in this game, even though we saw in today's game between CSK and GT that there wasn't any dew in the second innings. So I think what LSG may be wanting to bat first, and MI may be looking to chase. So I don't think there'd be too much conflicts at the toss in terms of what each team wants to do. I do think LSG will get the job done in this game simply because of their spin contingent, and MI side where, despite the fact that they've secured some brilliant chases in this season, I just think even chasing 170 odd when there's no dew against the LSG spinners in these conditions will be quite difficult, especially considering you get George Brevis in, you get Cameron Green, Tim David, Rohit Sharma, Nishan Kishan, they bowl one of the spinners to them early. There'll be a lot of onus on Suryakumar Yadav and Nehal Wadera. So that is on that. Maybe Tim David would be able to hit the seamers of LSG for runs at the end, but I think that, and even Mohsin Khan put a brilliant over in the previous game. So I think that LSG are the favourites going into tomorrow's game, but let's see how it goes. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, share it with your friends, and remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?